All right, everyone. It has been 2 weeks since the last time we've had our good friend Jimmy Auffant with us. We're back with another exciting episode of From the Margins with James Auffant. Welcome back, Jimmy. How was Boston?
Boston was great. I had some good chow. Uh, they call chow up there, and different. They had some great seafood and some great, great food, and it is an experience. Trust me, it was an experience. It was an international stamp show, which happens every 10 years, so I had to be there. But other than that, it was good.
Excellent.
I
That's
can't
great. I've
complain.
never been to Boston, and I'd love to visit, especially for the seafood. And
Yes, the people in Boston are weird. I love them to death, but they're weird.
that's what I hear. Yeah, yeah. Maybe,
They're,
maybe not so
not,
weird.
they're not that friendly.
Really.
Yeah. By the way,
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question that most people do not know the answer to.
What's
Which
that,
was
sir?
the last baseball team to integrate?
The last baseball team that what? I'm sorry.
To integrate.
The last baseball team to Boston, the
Correct.
Red Sox.
Correct.
I yeah,
It was not the
yeah,
curse of the Bambino,
yeah.
but between 1949 and 78, 79, there were very few African American baseball players with the Boston Red Sox. They were mostly their heroes were Ted Williams, Cardano, and I could keep going on. And so, yeah,
Mm,
even when they lost to the Mets, it was like two different teams. So
really.
those of you who don't remember the ball that went through the legs in first base,
Wait,
yeah,
wasn't that Don Mattingly for the Yankees? So wasn't it the Yankees?
no,
Or are we
that was
talking about a whole different?
yeah, no. When the
Oh, okay.
Mets met the Boston Red Sox,
Oh, yeah. That was before my time. Before I could even understand baseball. Really?
yeah.
Ooh.
So it is an interesting thing there. So some people call it the curse of the Bambino, some call the failure to. As a matter of fact, uh, this is poetic justice, just so everybody, those who remember the first time that the Boston Red Sox won a World Series was with Papi
That's right. You are right. Yes.
and
Yes, I
Rafael
remember.
Ramirez and Pedro Martinez. Those
That's right.
three
Yep.
African American Dominicans
Yep. You're right. You're
were
right.
essential winning that World Series. But I'm not saying any other words. But Boston, yeah, it is interesting. I had some good Boston cream pie, and I had a good time. But it is kind of an interesting thing. So
It-
let's jump into our local politics because this is something that since I read the article last Thursday in the
okay.
first page of the Orlando Sentinel,
First page.
it was kind of interesting.
Okay.
Commissioner of District 3, Mayra Uribe, decided and announced and sent a letter to the governor resigning her position in December of this year in order to run for mayor of Orlando. Now, the time to resign is past, so we're in June 4th. She cannot go back on that one. She's going to have to take it as it is. She's going to have to accept that she cannot, she's going to run. Now, what does this mean? I like the way she put it. This means that the governor has the option to call a special election. He does. And he also has the option to appoint somebody. As of June 4th, he has not called for a special election at all. I know three people, well, I'm not going to name them here, who are good Republicans who have been going to Tallahassee and advocating for their appointment as the commissioner for District 3. As a matter of fact, two of them don't even live in District 3, but I promised to move them to. And one of them actually lives in District 2. We don't know that. But it is an interesting positioning that I'm seeing. because this has angered most Democrats that I know. Publicly, they will say one thing, and privately, they will use some profanity. Uh, there is a concern that if the governor decides to appoint somebody for the next 2 years, the commission might have for the next 2 years a Republican commissioner, somebody who was not elected by the people, was imposed by the governor. Last time that this happened, there was more of a little bit of a justification because it was Mildred Fernandez who was convicted of a crime, and obviously she had to be removed from office. And they, at that time, made a second appointment and appointed Mel Martinez's son to that position. Mel Martinez did not run for that position. And strangely, we're talking about District 3 again. I understand that Mayra wants to say that she wants to work these projects, but realistically, if you make the decision to run for mayor, you should be giving your full attention to your race for mayor and not your full attention as a commissioner of District 3. Second, yeah, there's things that are coming up right now that are vitally important, but I'm going to say this in a very respectful way. There's 5 other commissioners who could vote this and run this, and who I trust. I have no problem with the other 5 commissioners making a proper decision. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure that her sole vote is that essential at this point for any of them. So, be that as it may, this has angered. Look, if the governor does not call a special election, it's not only that it's going to be imposed. This takes Linda Stewart, your friend, I can't remember her name, who used to work for the county, out of the race.
Martha Lay Izazare.
She will be out of the race. Everybody who's currently in the race, even Gus Benitez, will be out. Look, I've always been an advocate of let the people decide. I've always been an advocate that the people got the government they deserve. Yes, somebody always tell me something about Donald Trump. Say yes, people may have committed a mistake by electing him, but they have a constitutional right to be stupid. And yes, and they can elect somebody that's the wrong candidate. It's happened before. It will happen again. But I prefer to say, hey, you got what you deserve. You put that person in office. Right now, DeSantis, he's going to appoint, probably the person who gives him more cash to put in his pocket, or who helps out his candidate, Mr. Collins, for governorship of Florida. Right now, this is the wrong move. And I'm going to end it with this. I've been breaking my head to understand how this benefits Myra, how this benefits District 3, and how it benefits her chance to get elected as mayor of Orange County. I've always said that this was her race to lose. This might be the thing that causes, because I know that there's a lot of Democrats that are not happy with what she's done, privately, and some even publicly, but mostly privately. And at the same time, if she's thinking that this is going to favor her with the Republicans, there's not enough Republicans to replace those Democrats who might go the other way. If it's a matter of raising funds, I don't see her catching up to Stephanie. Sorry, I don't see it at all. Stephanie is way ahead of her. I mean, way ahead. And I don't see this happening. And so it is now, it moves up even Tiffany, who criticized her in the article of the Sentinel for what she did, and saying that she did not think of the well-being of the public, of the party, and that's giving her ammunition against Myra. So basically, at this point, we have to see how it moves. But again, I can't see how this favors it unless you know something that I don't know.
Jimmy, I just try, and before I start, I just want to apologize to you and our viewers and listeners. Every time I put you in solo mode so that, the cameras focus on you, we get a disruption and a delay. So I'm just going to keep the two views of yourself and me, so that we don't have that disruption. There's something wrong with the software, and I'll deal with that. But to answer your question, I've speculated. I try to put myself in her campaign manager's shoes or whoever is consulting with her, and try to see what the benefit is to why she's doing what she's doing. And one, we do know for a fact that she does portray herself as a Republican, depending on the audience that she's speaking to. That has been verified to me through my sources in the community. Second, we know that the Democratic electorate is going to be split among the Democratic candidates, despite this being a nonpartisan race. My thinking here is that, well, she's making the overture to the MPAs who are likely to vote in this election, and also the Republicans who are likely to vote, despite the fact there's Chris Messina, who is carrying the GOP banner as a candidate in this mayoral race. Maybe she's currying favor with the governor and saying, hey, I'm going to resign on this date. That triggers your ability to appoint a Republican in my seat, and that'll prevent her nemesis, if there's no doubt about it, Linda Stewart, former State Senator Linda Stewart, is her nemesis. She has not good relations with her. That would prevent Ms. Stewart from running now and push the election for that seat back to 2028. So I'm trying to understand also, Jimmy, and I don't think the Democrats who are displeased, at least the ones who have publicly stated that they're displeased with her actions, were going to vote for her in the first place. Believe it or not. And also, the Democratic Party, the local Democratic Party, had an opportunity to let her know in her face, instead of through the media, their displeasure with her decision. Although, I'm told that she was trying. There were attempts to persuade her to change her mind. I don't know. She's politically savvy. There's some reason, some rhyme to her madness. I'm looking forward to how this plays out.
Well, she's hoping then after August in the two tops and go to the general election, and it's going to be between two Democrats. And there is where I think she's taking her biggest risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because there she's going to be attacked by the Democratic Party. There she's going to run against another woman. So woman issue is not going to be come November, and this is the interesting part. Come November, I'm not sure what favor she's trying to get with DeSantis, because come November, DeSantis is no longer the governor of Florida.
True.
So trying to say, hey, next year help me out. Hey, I'm not even the governor, so that's not going to help her. So I am trying to figure out if she's thinking that she's going to get the MPAs. Good luck. As a matter of fact, this is the interesting part. If she thinks she's going to get the MPAs and are the Republicans to vote for her, I don't think she's thinking of Stephanie at all, who's always been able to get those two groups very well. She's been a very centrist. She's not a woke. She's not this. So basically, she's going to have to compete with that group with Stephanie. Look, when I say advantage, well, this will gain her with this group. Getting the Republicans to like her, they already do. I'm sorry. They're going to vote for her. The reverse of what you said, that the Democrats were not going to vote for her. There's a lot of Republicans who are not going to vote for Messina, who are going to vote for her. And by doing this, that doesn't change much. So that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm not sure how it does, but it apparently does. And, she made her decision.
True. I can tell you from personal experience, the only candidate that I'm aware of that is actively reaching out to high propensity non-party affiliates is Chris Messina. And I say that because either he or one of his team members, most likely one of his team members, campaign volunteers, um, left a packet of information. I mean, a packet of information about his campaign at my door. And I'm an NPA, so I was like, okay, I'm impressed. I am impressed. And so far, that's the only mayoral candidate that.
You're an MPA. Then a lot of these campaigns know where you go, so that doesn't impress me that much as it impresses you. Look, I've been saying, and I hold this as a truth. The MPAs decide. The problem here is that at the end of the day, if you have two Democratic candidates, and one of them happens to be Mayra Uribe, who most people in the Democratic Party consider a Dino. That's not
Yeah,
something that I'm saying. It's something that you know and I know. Uh, and the Democratic Party decides to throw its power behind either Stephanie or Tiffany. That might be a problem for her. So and and as disorganized as the Democratic Party is in Orange County, I'm not going to give credit to the Republican Party that they're well organized or that well either. So let's stop pretending. So I think at this point it's going to have to be something that we're going to see. But this is one of those things that Tiffany's already made a campaign issue. Let's put it that way.
as she
And
should.
then, as she should. And the people that are in District 3 that were running that now are going to be told you can't be a candidate. You create an enemy. Just for the record.
Yeah.
And those people are going to go out there and campaign against you. So yes, it's as a matter of fact, the joke is how pissed off is Trini right now. I understand she is pissed off.
Oh,
Because she wanted Gus to. So
exactly.
so so
Yes.
so if you wonder why, I already gave you the why. Okay,
Yeah. I
there's a
mean,
good chance that
she put a lot into Gus, and well,
Gus.
maybe she
Well,
can stick around for 2028.
well, 2028. We have a saying back home: "No dejes para mañana lo que puedas hacer hoy." And in politics, it translates: if you have a good chance today, don't expect to have a better chance tomorrow.
There you go.
So 28, a lot of things can happen, and you might have an incumbent who does a good job and decides to run, and then you have a little bit more of an uphill battle.
I can tell you, Jimmy, from what we're looking at, what's coming out of Tallahassee this week with the property tax ballot initiative. The incoming board is going to have a very they're going to have tough decisions to make as far as budget.
Oh, no. I'm going to say this in a very respectful way. And so is Tallahassee, because they cut an income. They're going to have to find money for roads. They're going to have to find money for schools. They're going to have to find money for a lot of things that they think, we're going to cut this. You're going to have to for animal control, for water control. I could keep on going. So Tallahassee is thinking of, I want to win elections. Be prepared. Look, I don't think, and I'm going to say this for the 10th time, people, it is not about the Republicans. It's not about the Democrats. It's about the MPAs. And right now, according to Fox News, according to Megyn Kelly, not Jimmy Auffant, 12% of the MPAs think that Trump is doing a decent job. Not a great job, a decent job. Okay? Because when they put great, the numbers were practically non-existent. So they modified it to a decent job. 87% of NPAs think that the Republicans and the president are doing a horrible job. You see, the problem is that Megyn Kelly, and Fox, what they did is they realized that it wasn't fair just to judge Donald Trump, but also to evaluate the Republicans who control the House and the Senate, and the economy is in the tank, how they feel about them, and if that is true, you only have one way to vote, and that's going to be Democrat. That's why there's a lot of people, even within the Republican Party, friends of mine of years, that tell me it's going to be a manslaughter because realistically, he lost Hispanics. He's losing the African Americans. He's lost the MPAs. And there's people in MAGA who are not too happy with him. Okay? So it is what it is. And this is going to give me a segue into what I consider something that makes no sense, but I'm going to argue it anyway. For some reason, Donald Trump has very few victories lately, has very little success lately, but his candidates have. Well, let me give you a little lesson in history. Normally, the president is the leader of the party, and normally his endorsement is the kiss of success, and normally against the other people is the kiss of death. What he's done, and he's done it very well. Look, let's stop pretending that this is the first time that this is some success, because it's not. That's how Herschel Walker became a candidate. That's how some other strange people became candidates in 2018 that we all know where they went. Okay, because he endorsed them. And many of MAGA people still follow his lead in that aspect. And that's fine. They should, because he is the president of the United States and he is the leader of the party. I would think it would be more of a news if his candidates that he endorsed were losing than they are winning. They should. I mean, his party is still with him, at least 81%. There's a 19% who's pissed off with him, but that's for another reason. So that they are. So his candidates are winning. So to say that MAGA has done anything, I wouldn't even attribute it to MAGA. I attribute it to Donald. I'll give the credit where it belongs. Donald Trump says that's the asshole. That's the people they vote for. I mean, and Paxton is a perfect example. He is a person that God knows his wife says that he wasn't faithful. He was impeached by his own party. He's been found to be corrupt, but because Donald Trump said this is the guy, Cornick is out. The same thing with in Louisiana and so on. But it has created another problem, because if you're going to make a news that this is what happened, let's say what happened yesterday. Yesterday, for the first time in the history of the United States, the U.S. House of Representatives voted and it won to question Donald Trump and the war and his participation, which basically tells him another thing, that, look, oh, well, that's symbolic, this and that. Look, he's asking for $1 trillion to increase the budget of Department of Defense. Right now, he doesn't have the votes either in the House or in the Senate. He doesn't. As a matter of fact, the Senate was flat and told him, hey, don't come here. You're not going to get the $1 billion thing settlement for these people. It's not going to happen. It was, and basically the acting attorney general had to go into the House and Senate and say, take it out of the budget. Yes, we're not going to deal with that. Now, hopefully we'll deal with down the line, you're not going to be able to deal with it, because down the line, you might not have the votes either in the House or in the Senate. So basically, at this point, yes. The other thing that is kind of interesting, Massey voted against this.
Yes, he did.
Massey voted to bring in against the war.
Yes.
And when Massey was asked, was this a revenge thing against the president? His response was kind of interesting. I am a MAGA, and MAGAs are against foreign wars. And this is a foreign war of choice. And if you really look at the base of what MAGA stands for, one of the biggest problems with people in MAGA was all these foreign wars that was supposedly started by Democrats, which really were started by Republicans,
Mhm.
right now. So basically, he was like, no, 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 I'm against foreign wars. And if you look at his track record, that is true. He's always has been. He's never favored them. So right now, and in the Senate, he's lost 2 votes, Casey and Cornick. They have nothing to lose.
Yes,
They're out in
yeah,
January.
they're
They can vote
gone.
against the president. What are you going to do? Nothing. Not go through. So basically, yes, the MAGAs won. The question is this rebellion that we're seeing, this pushback from the House and the Senate, is that a result of the MAGA victory? And to me, yes. It's,
Sure.
this is the problem that I have with Donald Trump and the people surrounding. Uh, I started this program by saying, how does this benefit Myra? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. The question is pissing off Cornick and pissing off Cassidy and getting them off, pissing off Massey, pissing off some other people that I could keep all day. How does that help him? It doesn't, because these people have now 9 months between now and January to vote against him, to vote against his budget, to vote against his war, to vote against. Right now, he was telling the Senate he did not have the votes for that $1 billion slush fund. He was telling them, you don't have it, and that is a rebellion, because right now, hey, he's already announced he's going to run somebody against Paul. He's announced, and right now you have people like Susan McCoskey, who's in there for the next 6 years. She knows she's not. Collins of Maine knows that if she doesn't vote against him, she's not going to have a chance to win in Maine. So yeah, he needs to understand the consequences of him pushing out people and insulting people. The other thing he should have realized is that Tom Keene from New Jersey has been out sick for now 4 months.
Yeah,
And of the 3 votes, majority, that only gave him 2.
that's right.
And 4 of
Right.
them, Republicans voted against it. He's out. So, how much these other Republicans are going to vote. And let me put it this way: the other 3 that, why would they do that? They've already announced they're not seeking re-election.
Right.
So when people talk to me, how is this going to go? I don't think that part was it. Did you get your candidates? Yes. Are your candidates going to win general elections? That's a good question,
Most
because
likely.
he got Herschel Walker. He got the other guy from Alabama also that was a judge who was crazy, Roy something.
Oh, Roy. Oh man, Con. I can't remember, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he's gone.
That one lost. So the question is, will these people be strong enough? As a matter of fact, the guy in Louisiana right now is highly questionable. But this is the thing that I don't think they're thinking of. These people are still thinking we have more Republicans than Democrats. Yeah, but you have pissed off the MPAs. And if the MPAs go 51% in some states,
Sure.
Democrats are in. If they go 60% in other states, they're in. So what put him in office was not Republicans. This is how stupid he could be. It was the MPAs, which right now, according to Fox News, I'm not so no. Fox News survey, and according to Megan Kelly, according to the numbers even from Joe Reagan, he's not a Democrat. It's not.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, he is saying that he's going to lose, and I like the way that some of them are putting it, that there's a chance that the Republicans might lose the House.
Really?
So it's and Senate. It's a good question. Can they? Well, it's a good question. Can Tarico pull it off in Texas? Well, let me clarify one thing. Ted Cruz beat Beto by 3%.
That's correct. That's correct.
It was
And
not a
Beto was
landslide.
and Beto was a better candidate than Tellerico, in my opinion.
And it's so in my, but this is where I think it becomes interesting. And this is an advantage that I see for Democrats. Democrats are electing as candidates moderates more than progressives right now. That's right now.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico is one, and some of the others. Okay. Wow. MAGA are electing some people who are out there.
Paxton is definitely, I mean, he is MAGA to the max. If there's
Yeah.
something that in Texas, if Ken Paxton, if there's an initiative or issue that the president is on top of, he's on top of it too. He is MAGA to the max.
Yeah. And he is cuckoo as cuckoo pops come.
He's got his issues. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, no, 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 no. Because I love it when people say, well, he says he doesn't like beef. You really think that the people
So
in Texas who are paying almost $4 a gallon of gas really care that he doesn't like beef? He was going to be the first person they've ever met in their life who's a vegetarian. Oh, give me a freaking break. If that's the best you could come with, oh, that he thinks that God could be a man or a woman. Bingo. If that's the best thing you could come up with, I could come up that you might claim that you believe in God, but you broke one of the commandments, according to your wife. Okay, so let's not claim to be that Christian. And you have stealing. That's another commandment that you're broken. So let's not be that thing. And by the way, he uses a lot of profanity.
Yes.
And it's always amazes me. I'm a good Christian man. God damn it. Okay. The goddamn it, I'm not sure about that one, but
So are you still predicting that the Democrats would win the House after the midterms?
oh yes. Now it's no longer a prediction. Look, I don't see, and this is how I like to look at it politically, not so people who really know. Look, from the beginning, it is clear that the people in the White House do not know how to negotiate. First of all, they sent Vance, and he was set up for failure. There was no way that they were going to work out all the details of a peace agreement in 24 hours. That was never going to happen. It's never happened in the histories, and it didn't. Second, basically, you can't stay with there's a ceasefire when Israel is still bombarding Lebanon. And by the way, for the record, not me, but Donald Trump this week said that Netanyahu was crazy. That came out
He
of his
went
mouth.
after,
That
he
came
went
out
after
of
Netanyahu.
huh?
He went after Netanyahu, according to not Politico, but the other.
No,
I forgot the name.
according to NBC, according to United Press, he referred to Netanyahu as crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have been vindicated when all of you people say, "How can you attack Netanyahu?" I'm just that's one of the few things I agree with Donald J. Trump. Okay, and those of you who are MAGAs, your leader called him crazy, so you agree with him that Netanyahu is crazy. And by the way, Iran is correct. As long as there's a bombardment in Lebanon, there's no ceasefire, and we're not going to negotiate. Who's causing the problem? Netanyahu. I'm not going to even say Israel because that would be a false. Netanyahu. Okay, now that for all purposes, this what happened? Iran, and let's get this in perspective. History. Iran sent a 5-point initiation for discussions of the ceasefire to work out certain details. Okay, to work out certain details, and they sent them to the White House.
Yeah.
Of course, the White House decided that they wanted different language, and basically Iran said, look, this is preliminary. We're agreeing to discuss it. We will sit down and discuss it. We're not going to make the agreement here altogether. We're going to discuss it. And for those of you saying, well, why isn't Iran just agreeing to give up their uranium? It's because they want an agreement from the United States that Israel won't use their nuclear weapons. Because in their mind, I'm not saying that they're correct. In their mind, if Israel has a nuclear weapon, they should be at equal and have one to defend themselves, which is a principle that some Americans disagree with. But it is interesting because uh, Rubio was asked this week if Israel had a nuclear weapon, and he said this is not the site to answer that question. He did not deny that they don't.
That's correct. That's
He
correct.
did not say, no, no, they don't. He said, no, no, this is not the correct place. In private, I will tell you in response that everybody and their mother knows that Israel has nuclear weapons. Let's stop pretending. And when Iran says, look, we want some control of that because it's not fair that my enemy has it, but I can't. And, I a lot of you are going to disagree with that perception, but what I'm trying to say, that is their perception. So they're thinking, you want our uranium? Okay, we want some assurance that Israel will not use their weapons against us, which is not a unfair negotiation from part of their perspective. So it's when they say, well, you just have to give it up. No, 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 no. They want to get something. And by the way, for those of you who think that the U.S. has won the war, you could join Marco Rubio and get the cheap marijuana that he bought before he went to the Senate and testified and said that we won the war. If we won the war, why are we negotiating a peace agreement? If we won the war, why is it still the Strait of Hamas still closed? If we won the war, how is it that they're still sending out weapons and killing people in Kuwait and destroying Kuwait's airport? But we destroyed all the military capability.
To speak to Israel, the president has made it very clear in the Abraham Accords and throughout these negotiations that not only do the Gulf states have to recognize the existence of Israel, but Israel also has to recognize that these Gulf states also has the right to exist. So it flips things back on Israel, saying, "Hey, you're done with the bombing, the indiscriminate bombing, or Netanyahu specifically. You're done with the indiscriminate bombing of Lebanon, Syria, whatever. The threats against Iran, so forth. You also have to recognize that Iran has the right to exist. That Lebanon has the right to exist, and so forth and so on." So I believe that this latest uproar against Netanyahu that Trump had is telling them, knock it off. Knock it off. You guys are upsetting the apple cart here. We're trying to negotiate a peace. You guys want this war to justify the Netanyahu government to exist. We're done. We're done with that. And after it's all done and over with, and you stand trial Netanyahu in Israel for your past alleged crimes, so be it.
That's kind of interesting because a month and a half ago, I saw that one of our programs that Netanyahu was the one who convinced Trump to go into the war.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't his generals because his generals told him they made it clear they did not want it. It was not a good idea. And even though Rubio is saying that he backs him now, it's kind of interesting. They said, I back him now. You have to understand, he was against it. Vance was against it. There was nobody in that room that was pro for it other than Donald Trump and Netanyahu. If Netanyahu didn't convince him, it was clear that in that room, he was the only one other than Donald Trump who was in favor of it. The generals told him, look, there's this complication, that complication. And it reminds me of those of you who do not understand war that well. War can only be won quickly. If it takes more than 2 months, it's going to be a long-range war. Okay? And if you don't have the capability of continually reinforcing yourself, in other words, replacing the weapons and the stuff that you're missing, is going to be more difficult to win. The problem here is that he was convinced, even though everybody told him it wasn't going to happen, that he could throw a couple of bombs and they were going to surrender. Didn't happen. But he thought he could negotiate with them. It didn't happen. Right now, I don't think most people understand this, but I'm going to say two things that I don't think you know. Right now, Saudi Arabia and the United Emirates are negotiating with Pakistan a protection agreement because they don't trust that the U.S. will come and back them. Right now, a lot of other countries are working. China and the Europeans do not trust that if something happens, that the U.S. will come in their defense.
Good, because it should be, Jimmy. Honestly, I mean that goes against the Monroe Doctrine and
the Monroe Doctrine does not go into Europe, and the Monroe
yes,
Doctrine was
we shouldn't be in Europe. Pull our troops out. Let's get out of there. They should be able to defend themselves.
Okay, good. How does that benefit us?
How does that benefit us? First of all, we won't be pulled into these forever wars like Ukraine. There's no reason, and Europe is trying to pull us into that war. They always have. Second of all, we've got our own issues in the Western Hemisphere. We have the war on drugs. We've got national sovereignty issues.
The war of drugs we lost a long time ago.
I yes, that's true. I think that's changing. There's cooperation between our. Oh, I think so, Jimmy. Well, no, Jimmy, we're working. Our government is working closer with the Mexican government to take out the cartels. The Trump administration has designated.
Our drug problem is not Mexico.
Fentanyl deaths have gone down. It wasn't like we were making fentanyl.
You could buy that on the mail.
What's that?
You buy fentanyl on the mail. Sorry, what's
right.
this
coming through Mexico and Canada from China?
Yes, bingo. Mm-hmm. You can look. The biggest drug problem in the United States is over the. Not even over the. Have you ever been to a gas station lately?
Rarely, but I mean the Wawa. That's about it. But I don't go inside. But I know what you're talking about. Oh, I do.
There's
know
drugs
what you're
right there at your disposal. Legal drugs by the tons.
Oh yeah.
Made in this country, distributed in this country, being used by people in this country. So I do not know what you're talking about. Fentanyl is not that. It's a problem. Yes. Right now, you go to a doctor and say, "Oh, here, go smoke some pot. Give me a break."
Well, Jimmy, there's no denying
that we were putting people in jail for years for having a little bit of pot. We were putting them in jail. Okay, crack cocaine. We put black people in jail because it was supposedly stronger. Bullshit. It was because it was a drug of preference of African Americans. So that's how we put it. The white executives who had the powder, those were okay. Let's go step. The biggest drug problem that we had in the last 20 years is opiates. And who made them? A company here in the United States made billions and billions of dollars and was over. And doctors were over prescribing this. I had a hearing on Tuesday in which basically the judge was saying, "But Mr. Auffant, your client is using marijuana." I say, "Yeah, judge, and it's prescribed by a doctor. What is your problem?" Doctors are prescribing marijuana. Doctors are prescribing opiates. Doctors are prescribing all these medications that have people addicted to. So, when people tell me the cartel, that's the bullshit of the right trying to sell us that we are put those down. Look, drugs are going to be in this country as long as there's a demand. And where there's a what there's a will. So this thing that we're giving the impression that the numbers are down. Let me ask you a question. Are the numbers of overdoses down in this country? No. Are the number of drug addicts down in this country? No. Is it still a problem? Yes. You want to get high, go into your gas station. Hit the break the news. Go into your gas station. And you could get all these drugs that come from China. Legal. But
Mhm.
the problem is the Mexican because they speak Spanish. No, 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 no.
No,
Stop
no,
that
no.
bullshit. The bullshit
But
is that
however,
yeah, how yeah.
however, Jimmy, there's no denying that the cartels in Mexico, in South America, and Central America, but the cartels in Mexico specifically have had a stranglehold over government and over the populace. And now that the Trump administration has classified cartels as terrorist organizations, we're able to step up our efforts, share
No, hold
intel,
it.
share.
Hold it. The Trump did not declare them.
Yes, he
No,
did.
they were declared prior to Trump, just for the record. He's invoking it, but they were declared under Bush, number two, for the record.
Okay. So he's the first president to actually evoke the policy of working of classifying the cartels as a terrorist organization, narco
He's doing
terrorists.
nothing about it, but he said
The Mexican Jimmy, come on,
he
we
hasn't. Okay, let me ask you a
we,
question. The president
we
of
indicted.
Honduras, the guy he just forgave, he gave a
Yes,
pardon.
yes,
He
President
was a drug
Hernandez.
lord. Can you agree on that?
Yes,
And who gave
yes,
him the
yes,
pardon?
President Trump. And you want to know why? What happened
Because he got
shortly
paid.
after? And you want and the reason why he got the pardon was because President Hernandez of Honduras was a material witness, provided intelligence for the Trump administration to go after Maduro.
Bullshit.
Maduro turned on.
Bullshit. That is the
Ah, come
biggest
on,
lie.
Jimmy.
No, 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 no,
Come
no.
on.
No,
He
no, no,
didn't
no.
get a full pardon for nothing.
Oh no, you do. If you pay him. There's track
Oh, come
records.
on,
You can buy
Jimmy.
no, no, no. I could give you at least 10 that he's been paid for. And the strangest thing is that when he pardoned the guy from Honduras and he was asked, what was his response? I don't know the guy, but somebody told me it would be a good idea. Bullshit.
Oh
He
yeah,
is
it
not.
is bullshit. I
Look,
agree.
look, I did criminal
Donald
defense.
Trump is not going to tell us
No,
the
no,
truth about
I
that.
did criminal defense. Let me ask you one question. You're a
Yes,
juror,
sir.
and you're not a MAGA person. Guess what? You're not a MAGA person
Yeah,
at that
no.
time. You're sitting there, and they say, here's this drug dealer who's going to come and testify against this other drug dealer. How much credibility do you give him? Zero.
Okay. All right, Jimmy. If that drug dealer is, and we know that there are deals made all the time in the court of law. If that drug dealer is a former president of a country that laundered drugs and money into the United States and out of the United States and has intelligence, actionable intelligence that has been confirmed by our intelligence agencies and our military and our law
That's not
enforcement,
going to enter into a
he
trial.
holds much more
That's not.
credibility than the average
Let
Joe.
me clarify to you. That's not going to enter into a trial because intelligence is not divulged. It is not. And you
Okay.
cannot just say our intelligence says at a trial. No, no. If you say you put somebody of intelligence, they're up for all type of questions. That's not going to happen. So that's the second bullshit that in trials doesn't happen. You've been seeing law and
Okay,
order.
okay, okay. He had his trial. He was in jail. He was given the pardon with the understanding, the
So
agreement that
okay.
he gives evidence, that he provides
In
evidence,
other
or
words,
at least he provides
I'll I'll pardon you.
intelligence to go after Maduro and
I'll
the
pardon
other
you
cartel.
in exchange that you say that this guy's a drug dealer.
What if he doesn't have to testify?
If he doesn't testify, they have no case.
Because I haven't heard anything about the trial for Maduro.
No, no. A criminal trial of that type is going to take 2 years before it goes to trial. That's normal.
Right.
And by that time, Trump is going to be out of office and he doesn't give a shit. Okay.
And President Hernandez is in protective custody, probably in the penthouse next to Maduro and his wife.
Bingo. And everybody's going to be happy. Look, the truth of the matter is that when people call fake news, is what I call what you just said. There is intelligence. Why? Because the fake news says there's intelligence.
Oh, come
All
on,
right.
Jimmy. You know
No,
I
no,
do
no, no,
my
no.
research.
No, no,
I
no.
do my research.
No, no, you don't. You
Oh,
think you
come
do.
on, Jimmy. You know I do.
Okay. What source tells you that that there's intelligence from one of the U.S. agencies, how it was obtained, when it was obtained, how it was collaborated, or other than those phrase that it says, according to these sources, it says this. That's what they're telling you. So basically, you have to take that at face value, and
Yes.
that is
Yes.
not the way it is in the trial. You cannot go and say, "Hey, you have to take this at face value." I have the right to cross-examine the person who prepared that report. I have the right to quit. It's not going to happen. The truth
Right.
of the matter is they need an excuse, and I understand that. Okay, they need an excuse. They took him out. They put him there, and they're going to say that today. And it's like somebody says, he's in New York, and the drugs coming from South America have not dropped 1%. Okay, it's not
Oh,
dropped.
I gotta check that, Jimmy. I think I read
No.
something different.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You have to understand one thing. Read the accusation. They never said he was a trafficker. He's an enabler. What they're
I'll
saying
check
is
that.
that the people from Colombia would go through uh, Venezuela and he would
Venezuela.
look to the side.
Correct.
So basically, if you're telling me now that there's some law enforcement that is no, it's still going through. I'm sorry. There's not a shortage of cocaine in this country. I'm sorry, there isn't.
That's true. That's
So,
unfortunately true.
when people tell me a war drug, we started that in the 50s, and we're in 2026, and drug use is basically the same. Oh, we're fighting the cartels. Okay, we've been fighting the cartels for years, and you close this door, and they went through the other. It's really, as long as there's people willing to pay the prices for those drugs, there will be people who are going to be fine. Look, the best thing we could do is learn from our history. We went and said we need to end alcoholism in this country, and we closed down. You cannot drink, you cannot consume
Right.
alcohol, you cannot do that. And what
Right.
happened? Speakeasies, the mafia, and
Gang
everybody.
violence. Yes.
And what did they do? Shit, this is not working. Go back to drinking. Shit,
Right.
the system that I'm not saying that we need to do something, but the system that we're using is what I'm trying to say is not working.
Mhm.
And they sell us a bag of shit, but the truth of the matter is, no, we do not. We're not winning that war. The Moron Doctrine was created in the 1900s as an excuse to take over Puerto Rico, to take over Cuba, and to take over and to go into the Dominican Republic and go to other countries and do whatever we wanted to do with them, to take over Honduras and all those other countries, because basically it was never to apply to the rest of the world. Never was. The people who started saying, hey, we need to work together against communism, not them. The people who went and convinced Europe to work together with us,
Mhm.
not them. The people who realized that, or we did something in NATO, or Russia would take over all of Europe and take over the rest of the world, and communism would be a threat. So it was not that they came to us, hey, help us. No. We went to them and said, hey, we're going to do this in exchange. As a matter of fact, the troops that are in Germany are the result of the Second World War of an agreement. So it's not like,
Mhm.
it's because we had concerns until recently that there was an East Germany and there was a West Germany. Now they're all one Germany, but there's still a concern about Russia. And those who think there's no concern about Russia, fine. Yeah, they daydream and keep smoking cheap weed. We were the ones who asked for this. Now we're the ones who say, fuck it, we don't want it because we have a moron in the White House who can't think this through. Look, do things need to change? Yes. Do we need to be that drastic and say, we're going to stay away and isolate ourselves again and, and let the rest of the world fend for itself? Good idea. That's what was taught in 1937 in this country. You know what happened? World War II.
Mhm.
Why? Because that's Europe. That doesn't affect us. But guess what? It did affect us because guess what? We thought that we could do whatever, and a country much smaller than China bombarded us in Pearl Harbor. Right
Man.
now, China has a bigger navy than us. China has a bigger air force than us.
No, Jimmy. No, 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 no,
Oh
no.
yes, 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 yes.
We've got like 11 carrier groups. They got like maybe one.
No, who they didn't have one?
Oh,
Do your research. Do
let me
your.
do it. uh,
I hate to break the news to you when you say only one. No,
I'm
they have.
exaggerating, but definitely not as many as the United
Oh,
States.
oh, have you seen what they've done with the coast, where they have all those airlines? I mean, airports, and they're taking over they're taking over everything and Hong Kong and everything. They are a powerful nation.
Oh,
Okay,
there's no doubt about that.
let me put this way: they are more powerful today than Japan was during World War II.
Sure.
Okay, so when we think that we can be confident that we can stay alone and that nothing's going to happen, you look. It's never about us. What runs the United States of America? Business.
What run?
What runs the
What
United
run?
States of America?
What runs the United States of America? Oh, many
Business.
things. I mean, it's
No, it's
industrial.
business. You
Okay.
can say all these other things. Look, right now, business is pissed off with the president because of the cost of oil. Okay, and the one who's pushing him to resolve it is business. It's not Netanyahu. It's not Rubio. It is not Vance. It's not none of those other idiots. It is business because of the cost. Right now, if the Chinese take over Taiwan, where are we going to get our chips?
We're bringing that industry here.
Oh, we've been saying that bullshit for years, and we're still buying 80% from Taiwan.
Yeah. Yes.
And if,
TCM.
and we don't have the capability right now to do it, and they control the market. We know that. And as a matter of fact, if China decides to say "fuck you," where are you going to get your phones from?
Good point. And if China needs oil for its industry, we could cut that off very quickly,
No, we
as we're
can't.
doing in Iran.
No, we can't.
They're well, they get a vast amount of oil from
And,
Venezuela,
and,
and they were
and, check,
getting it
and check
cheap.
it out. Check it out. They still are.
Oh yeah, they still are. Mhm.
So I love it when you people say,
And
"No, no, we
they're
can't,"
paying market value for it too.
and that's fair. They've always paid market value for it. Iran's never given it to less than market value to anybody. That they've always paid for it.
I
What
think
they
there were
did, which was smarter than us, is that they realized how vulnerable they could be, and they filled up their reserves to the point that once we invaded Iran, their reserves went to the max. And I always wonder how they knew that and were able to do that, but our intelligence would never tell them that, and they don't have any way to check out what we're doing.
because they were getting cheap oil from Venezuela, and we cut that off too. And now they're buying Venezuelan oil at fair market value.
Uh, they have never depended that much from Venezuela. They've always depended more from Iran, which
On
is
Iran,
close.
yeah, yeah.
They would do what they were doing is that they were doing some exchanges with Venezuela. They were sending weapons and stuff like that, and they would get the
Sure.
oil cheaper. It's not that they were not paying market value. That's a lot of bullshit from the Trump administration. They would say, "Hey, I'll give you these 22 cannons, but I want to buy the petroleum this price." Yeah, and they worked that out. There was an exchange. I'm not what I'm trying to say. It wasn't that they were getting that with nothing in exchange. They were. Uh, and by the way, they were paying Maduro and Daisy under the table. So,
Yes, they were. Yes, they
okay,
were.
so they were paying fair market value. The problem here is we have to realize this. In my opinion, we're in June 4th. Next week, in the following 2 weeks, the oil, cost of oil is going to go up. As a matter of fact, yesterday it went up $5. The what do you call it? The barrel. was thinking
Right.
later, but it's not later. The barrel went up $5, and it's supposed to go up further down next week because there's been no agreement. But let's get to the point that everybody's suspecting. Since we don't have too many comments this week, I'm going to go directly into the fuck up of the week for both parties.
All right, here we go.
Let's start with the fuck up of the week in the Democrats in California. What the fuck were you thinking to do an open candidacy for the governor? You have a Mr. Hilton who's a multimillionaire, paid for his campaign out of his pocket. I think spent something like $31 million and became the number one. Granted, I know what you're counting on. Becerra will be number two. It will be a race between a Democrat and a Republican, and the Republican will have no chance, and Becerra will be your next governor. I understand, but it should never have happened. You should don't need to be that democratic. Don't do it. Just let the primaries be like they've always been. Close primaries for the Republicans, close primaries for the Democrats. The MPAs, if they want to vote in primaries, register either Democrat or Republican, or don't vote. I'm sorry. If you can't commit to a party, it's like saying I want to go out with this woman, but I won't commit. It's not going to happen. So that is the fuck up of the week for the Democrats. Republicans. Some of you might disagree with me that this is not a fuck up, that this is something good. Fuck up was you think you won the primaries. You think that MAGA did a great job. The president got 100 from 100. Normally, if you take all the presidents that I can remember from Johnson to present, when a president, as the president of his party, backed a candidate, that candidate won the primaries. So what Donald Trump is doing as president of the party, backing a candidate, and that candidate winning, I'm not sure why you feel that's such a great thing. He should, or she should, because she's backed by the office of the president of the party and of the president of the United States. So basically, why is it, ooh, look, that's no big deal. But what is interesting is the consequence of this. You lost, for the first time in the history of this country, a vote to rebook the war in Iran. In the U.S. House, which you had a majority of 3, but since Tom Keene is out sick, you have a majority of 2. But then you had 3 people who are not seeking re-election: Tom Burns from Michigan, Fitzgerald from Pennsylvania, and Robinson from Ohio, who basically said, hey, we're out of here. We don't give a shit. And, of course, our dear friend, Mr. Massey from Kentucky, who the party spent $15 million to take out. It's kind of expensive for a primary, but you wanted him out. Now you have him voting against you. You have, for the first time, the Senate saying to the president, no, we're not going to go along with your slush fund. And no, we're not going to be removing it from the budget, to the point that the acting attorney general had to say, we gave up on it, we're not going into place. Right now, you need to do something, because you have an approval of 12% among MPAs. You have an approval of 78 among Republicans. That's 22. That's 22. You should have higher than that. And Democrats are killing it. Every time there's a special election between a Republican and a Democrat, it's not even close. But you're still thinking that Donald Trump is going to pull this off. Well, I always play lottery with the hope that I'm going to win. I never do, but I always have the hope that I'm going to win. I always hope that I'm going to win $5 million and I'm going to be able to retire. But it's shit. It doesn't happen. Hope is eternal, but doesn't win elections. As a matter of fact, there's two people here who run campaigns and would never tell a candidate to count on hope as a factor to win. That they need to work the voters, they need to work the people, and make sure that the people are hearing what they want to hear. And now that you have decided to challenge Donald Trump and say, no, this is not going to be a slush fund, and yes, we're going to bring you in here to explain the Iran war, it's going to be interesting. And for the first time, you're going to have more votes that are going to be interesting. But people, you need to do something. The cost of living is high. I don't care what truth lie puts out there of 2%. We all know better than that. It's higher than 2%. And for the record, the cost of gasoline since February 29th, when we started this war, is up. Is up alone 82%. So I don't understand how with one student that moves our food, moves our furniture, moves our goods, moves our car, is that high, but inflation is only up 2%. No economist would even respect that, but that's good. The truth of the matter is that you need to find something, because people are using this. They're not going to truth inflation and say, oh, truth inflation says 2%. I'll believe that. No. They see with their eyes that things are bad. And if the Republican Party doesn't do something quick, come November, people are going to have still fresh in their memories paying $4 and $5 a gallon for gasoline. And that's going to cost you the election. And that's why I predict, again, that the Democrats are going to win the House huge. Huge.
All right, we got this recorded, Jimmy. We got this recorded. And I'll bet you that the Republicans keep the House and the Senate. And the bet would be dinner. Seafood.
Ooh, good. I know a very expensive restaurant. Thank you.
I think we have the same one in mind.
Okay. So with that in mind, we'll see you next week. Remember, always call, comment, like, dislike, make your comments. Lately, you haven't commented that much. Comment. Even if it's something that you think that I'm wrong, comment. I'll be more than glad to respond. With that, I will see you all. Take care and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Jimmy. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.